Good morning, beautiful people. We're going to take a quick look at these protests really quickly. And yes, it's early, but hopefully my audio will be good. I'm hoping. Let's see.
Is believed to be a member of TDA, that vicious Venezuelan gang. They say he tried to run over law enforcement, ended up getting shot.
Chakra King, what are you doing up? Okay, let me know if you guys can hear it. Politics, yeah, it's early. Kind of early for it. But I'm up. Wait, can you see it or no? Let me see. Okay. Can you see it? Good morning, Lionel. Can you see this? Can you see the movement? I'm trying to make it bigger. Hey, Daniel. Good morning, you guys. I don't know how to put this in the full screen, so I'm not on it. Let me try. Y'all up early. Hey, Claude. I passed out now. Wait, I was supposed to do this a long time ago. Look at this, you guys. Can you hear? You see it clearly? Okay. Look at this mess. We're up early. We love eyes. Version. You guys keep trying to learn how to spray your easier. Version. That's right. That's cool. Lovely guys. Look at this. I ran. Oh, maybe I should find something else. That's right, Jay.
Where's that content going?
It's the Nazi fucking cunt!
I'm praying for version. We need to win the midterm elections, guys. I'm going. Okay, let me set up.
You need to come back! Fascists, go home! Get out of Minnesota! Behind the line, please. You act like you hard. Fascists, go home. You feel tough now? You act like you hard. You feel tough? People need to fucking show up with guns to face you guys. It's fucking time for an armed resistance against the United States of America. Take your mask off. This is done. We're done. You're fucking murderers. You shot a woman in a wheelchair. We need to fucking come back with fucking weapons. Go to the gun store, get a gun, learn how to use it, and fuck this, you guys, man to man.
Version, seriously? Can you keep me posted on that application? Version?
By any means necessary.
Yeah.
Mr. Red, White, and Blue isn't coming to save us. Mr. Red, White, and Blue's and Africans want a free state. We're out here fucking fighting
Get the fuck out of here,
You're closer. Don't justify it. You're so close.
Go back to the fascist hellhole you came from. What are you afraid of?
You're supporting murder and fascism. You're supporting murder and fascism.
Go back where you fucking came from.
Inbred pieces of shit.
We don't want you here.
Supporting murder and fascism.
Move to fucking Russia if this is what you want.
Good morning.
The weakest people in our society. Leaders of pedophiles. Nick, how you feel?
Hi, Raven.
Loser! Loser, and you're small! You're fucking small and you're weak!
Okay, Lionel.
I'm not calling for peace! I'm not calling for peace! Y'all fired the first shot! You fired the first shot! You're giving that killer corner! You are! Let me, goddammit! You're giving the murderer a corner!
It's interesting how they're not marching. In Kenya, they shoot shotguns.
Good morning.
Don't say anything! Don't say anything without a lawyer! Don't say anything without a lawyer!
That's Logan.
You have the right to remain silent!
Thank you, heroes. Thank you for what God is to create. Thank you. You are heroes.
Right?
Hate protesters. They're the same thing.
You show up with the
I'm gonna run back to the
Pussy!
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. I appreciate you, my friend. I think this music is gonna get me in trouble. Where am I with this video? This chat is divided. That's fine. That's fine. Yes, ICE are not police. They are federal law enforcement. So you're correct. Yeah, that's crazy. I never got married and are addicted to. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I am saying. Yeah, this feels so anti-American. I really don't know. What I feel like they're doing, a lot of these paid protesters, they're baiting ICE. You see how they get in their face. When ICE responds, then they play victim. They pretend that ICE somehow did something to them, but they're obviously in their face provoking them and stopping them from doing their job. It just says we need more ICE. Donald Trump done more good. What is it? Donald Trump done more good for America than any president in the last 100 years. We see what's happening. Even African Americans tried to warn y'all, but what you mean tried to warn us from what? What you mean, Gorilla Kings? I don't know if that comment is good or bad. They are paid protesters. They are paid protesters. So you agree with people getting, when did I ever say that? Young, try to keep up with the conversation. When did I ever say I agree with people getting shot? Are you just, maybe you just wanted to join the party and say something to me? Of course, these MAGA support, okay. Donald Trump is doing a lot, and we need to stop, people need to stop trying to stop him from doing his job. He's trying to get rid of illegal immigration. He's trying to get them back into their own countries, nice and safe, so we can have a safe country. And just by some of your comments in the chat, I can see why people are out there protesting. Some of you are really ignorant, no offense. And that lady that lost her life, I am sorry that she lost her life. But why was she interfering with all these, why was she interfering with what ICE was doing? She had kids. She could have been at home. I believe she was a wife, I think. No, she wasn't a wife. She had a situation. This country has gone to, we have the right to protest. Dana, but that's not a, you have the right to a peaceful protest. You do not have the right to stop traffic. You do not have the right to jump in ICE face and try to provoke them to harm you, because this lady got harmed, but she obviously was the aggressor. So yes, you do have the right to protest. But that does that look like a peaceful protest to you? Because the first time, you guys see how close they get to these ICE agents' face? You wouldn't do that to a police officer, and if you would, mess around and find out. Why? Well, can you see? Her fault. Did Martin Luther King interfere? Did Tubman interfere? Why y'all asking about Martin Luther King? What's wrong with you guys this morning? But what she was doing, she was in the wrong. She was in the wrong. She was in the wrong. I showed it for you guys. We talked about it. We talked about it. You guys double tap the screen for me. I know it's early, but I wanted to get on these protests pretty early, and I will be back early. You know, we also got the Iran protest too. And you know, you do. Am I American? I can't be deported. Put it like that. You're an ignorant woman. I'm ignorant. Okay, let me read your comment. That man. Ignorant woman, tell me what this idiot has done that's so great for America. So that man, you decided that I was ignorant because I said not to interfere with ICE, not to get in their faces, so you can keep your lives. That makes me ignorant. This is ignorant to me. Now, these people that's just walking and not interfering with anything, they have the right to do that. I don't have any problem with that. But the moment you decide that you're going to park your car in the middle of traffic and not move your vehicle, and then you start driving to where you can hit an ICE agent, how's that peaceful? Do I think she should have lost her life? Always unfortunate. You believe in Fox News as well. I believe in the news and I believe in what I see. This same thing is on CNN. The same thing is on NBC. This exact video is on all the news networks. I just happen to play Fox News. Maduro is a racist dictator and y'all support him. Well, he's going to have his day in court. He'll have his day. Keep speaking the truth. I'm going to keep speaking the truth because I know that it is the left that, and I don't have a problem with everybody from the left. We've had beautiful conversations with Democrats. But then you have the Democrats that come in here, they throw a bunch of insults, they throw a pity party, they throw a tantrum in my chat, and I really don't have time for them. I don't have time for you guys in my comment section. I obviously made a space for conservative and like-minded people to be able to speak without being insulted, without being attacked. And this is our space. So you guys are in our space, so be respectful. I'm Republican, don't support this. Dana, I am too. But some of you that say that you're Republican and you don't support this respectfully, or when you put it in my chat, you guys aren't really Republican though. You're rhinos. No offense. And a lot of people like to say, oh, I'm Republican and I don't support Trump. And then when you look at their voting record or you look at who they voted for and they didn't vote anything Republican, some of you guys just say that to try to make the Republican Party look bad. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that's the case. Right, I'm American. I'm sorry, Dana. Listen. I know you don't support, you're Republican, Diana, but you don't support protecting our borders. You don't support, you support open borders and you're Republican. I find that hard, Dana. I find that hard to believe. You're not from here, then where am I from? Where would I be from? I can't see if my mods are, I'm anti-American. I'm anti-American because I want to protect the borders. I'm not Republican. Hold on, let me highlight that before you guys think that's me and you start cursing me out in my comment section. I'm not Republican. And you, I see you. I just lost the comments. African Americans benefit the most from ICE more than any other demonstration. How's that? I'm African American. I'm not sure how I benefit from ICE. I'm not sure. I think America benefits from ICE, but I'm not really sure about your comment. Lots of brainwashing people here. ICE is Trump's personal army. You guys have a lot to say. Let me look for some conservative comments. Trump 2028. It's about civil liberty. Just my thoughts. Man, too bad we're friends. Civil liberty. Do you agree with the lady losing her life? I already know your answer, I think. Thank you, Claude. A voice of reason. And he's not even Republican. Wanting people, it's not about the Republican Party and it's not about the Democratic Party. It's about right versus wrong. Okay. And when you are getting into these ICE agents' faces and you are taunting them, yelling at them, you got your hot breath all in their face, they have the right to defend themselves. They don't have to take your nonsense. They don't have to take your aggressiveness. They're out there doing the job and they're doing it the best that they can. They're doing a great job if you ask me. It's 2020 all over again. Bring back common sense. Bring back common sense. Shut up. How about you shut up? What happens in a person's life? I'm looking at what's happening there. I agree with you. I came in mid-sentence. Google, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Muscle. You're 100% correct. I don't feel sorry for these protesters getting arrested. And when I see ICE put their hands on them to back them off, and you see some of the protesters ended up on the ground, they're doing anything to try to play victim and try to make it seem like somebody's doing something to them. And let me say something. The people that they're fighting for won't fight for them. They feel that they're entitled when they come to this country, and they feel that we owe them everything, things that they wouldn't get in their own country. And they felt that they did not need to go through the process to come into this country legally. Now, I'm sorry for the ones that came here younger, when their parents that brought them here. I'm really sorry about that. But you want to know something? We had to draw the line somewhere. I'm not here to convince you guys of anything. Normally, I don't give you guys as much commentary as I'm playing the video, but this video is silent. So I can't just have a silent video. But anybody is welcome to speak, whether you are Republican or Democrat. I really don't care. I really don't care. But I do care about people that love our country enough to want to see it protected. And there's nothing about these protests that I've been playing is peaceful. And just the nerve of people to think you can run up in somebody's face and yell at them. I don't even care if you're an ICE agent. Imagine somebody yelling in your face. What would you do? What would your natural reaction be? Obama had finally, I was looking for this comment. I was waiting for someone to say this. Wait, I think I lost it about Obama. Here it is. Ms. Z, how are you? Good morning. Obama had record deportation record with all this violence. I was waiting for somebody to say that about Obama. They still had the same violence, but it wasn't on the news. Obama had, not only did he have deportation, but they were kept in very unkempt conditions. They were caged, some of them. They filmed it. But did it get the press that Donald Trump is getting? No. You guys didn't hear about it? Donald Trump did mass deportation. I'm not Donald Trump, sorry. Obama did mass deportations, and it's all about what they're wanting to show you. So with Donald Trump, they have paid protesters. They have groups that pay protesters, and it's all over the news, and it's all about what they show you. But this is no different than what was happening with I keep saying Donald Trump. Obama. No different. People talked about Donald Trump using his executive power to get things done, especially to go and get this Venezuelan president. But Obama used his executive power over 32 times. He's the one that started the debate with the legislative executive powers. It started with Obama because of how much he uses executive power, but nobody really talked about it. They just want to focus on Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. But Donald Trump is doing an amazing job for this country. He is a hardworking president, and he's doing exactly what the American people voted for. This is not what the American people voted for. Anything else about Obama? I can't keep up with your comments. Ignorance must be by. You're black. Where are your papers? Mercy. You see how the left come in here with their ignorance? When did black people? I love when you guys bring up my race. This is not the civil. This is not before the Civil War. When did black people need papers to be here? You guys like to pull the race card. But you get tired of black people talking about black issues and black people talking about this and that and what they want in the country. But when it benefits you and when it's in your favor, you love to say, what about this? You're black. When are we going to just be Americans in this country? Now, again, when did I need papers being a black American in the United States? Or maybe some of you just say things to try to rage bait, like these protesters are rage baiting. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure the sympathy that you're trying to provoke for me as a black woman, because as a black woman, they're not going to fight for me. They don't care about me. The people that y'all fighting for out there, they don't care about me. I care about what's best for the country, regardless if you're white, black, Hispanic. I don't give a damn what you are. And you shouldn't care what I am by simply playing the news. You shouldn't care. Ignorance must be bliss. Good for you. Who pays you white? Who pays you white? That made no sense. Ice is nice. Ice is nice. That. Thank you. Thank you. I don't even know why they just highlighted. Obama hasn't been the president. Obama was the president before. Are you okay? These are not peaceful protesters. Violence is not just using a 2-ton object against law enforcement, but getting in between criminals and officers. These are not. I feel very sad watching this. I'm in Southern California. If I can get to any of the protests here, I will be boots on the ground and filming. If I could get to Minnesota to film for you guys and see for myself, but I'm not flying into Minnesota because there'll be nothing else for me to do there. But I did manage to catch it in Los Angeles, and it was a scary sight. I could not believe what was happening in Los Angeles, and you guys, I've got to be able to, if I can film that for you heads on, I would. And it's unreal. The far left are crazy. I would definitely show that to you so you can see the atmosphere is tense and it is nasty. It's almost as if the left is trying to create a civil war. Soros is laughing. That's how I feel. Was anyone hurt? Was anyone hurt where? In Los Angeles? Depends on what you mean by hurt. They'll still get up, but they had to. Did the ICE agents have to put hands on people? Absolutely. But what I saw is the protesters coming right into their faces, yelling in their face in an aggressive manner. And some of them, I mean, yeah. So I don't think anybody got hurt, but there was definitely people arrested. Team ICE. The right to start a song. I see your comments coming. Go back to Iran. We need to play. I want to show you guys the difference. Hopefully I can find this video before I get out of here. I want to show you guys the difference from how, if you do this in Iran, they will put you to death. People keep saying that Donald Trump is a dictator. You would never be able to do this in a country where the president is a dictator. Was January 6th peaceful? You guys talk a lot about January 6th. You guys talk a lot about it. But we're talking about what's happening in 2026. We're talking about having fair elections because that's the American way, and protecting our democracy, protecting our country, and putting our country first. Putting our country first means that you have to enter this country in a legal way because trafficking, children are getting trafficked. There's women that you never hear from again. We're not going to talk about the gangs. We're not going to talk about all those things. You have to enter the right way. Yes, you are allowed asylum here. You could be a refugee, but you have to go through the process. And that process is not just staying here and doing what the hell you want to do over here and committing crimes that you wouldn't dare to commit in your own country because you know your own country what the consequences would be. No, this is not just a stomping ground for if you decide to stay here, because now think about it. Can you go to any other country and do what these people are doing? No, because of national security, you would never be able to get away with this, ever. And most of you know this, but you're just falling in line with what the left wants you to believe. ICE is evil. Look at over in Minnesota. They got a whole fraud scandal there. And this thing that happened with the lady is taken away from what's going on with Tim Walz. The fraud and the scandal there, the reason why he has to step down. Do you realize what I mean? I played the clip when Tim Walz was speaking, how he just was talking about Donald Trump, demonizing the political right, making it seem as if somehow we're the problem for their fraud stuff that they got going on over there. They have a lot going on. That's why he can't go for a third bid. And He's out of there. But instead of just saying, you know what, there are problems in Minnesota, we're going to support ICE. No, he wants you to think that ICE is the problem. And I'm not even going to get onto the Somalis right now. I'm not going to do it. We can talk about it another time, though. Okay. Ignorance must be bliss. You said that earlier, Benson. You said that. Do you have anything else to say? What's not illegal? Trump is the problem. How is Donald Trump the problem? You're a Cancer. How am I a Cancer? Nope, I would be an Aries. Somali people are beautiful. Are you raking in cash? Nope. Why would you ask that? Why would you ask if I'm raking? What does that have to do with anything? Where's the proof of all this fraud? You guys are making me nervous. You're making me nervous. You need your papers checked. You know why I haven't blocked you guys is talking about my papers, and that's very off subject. Because you're engaging in helping the algorithm and helping me to spread my message of peace, peaceful protest. So I don't care about you guys' ignorant comments. I don't mind them. I don't know if I have any mods out there. Probably not. I don't mind them as much because it shows the ignorance coming from the other side. The insults, not really able to articulate yourself or say why you have a problem with what's going on. Instead, you want to ask me about papers or remind me that I happen to be a Black woman in the United States. Remind me about a lot of stuff that I really don't give a damn about. I'm playing a video about this protest, and you guys aren't even on subject. Hilarious to me, really. Now, I'm going to say it again. There has to be a way to enter this country. Donald Trump won the election because Harris was preaching these open borders, coming here any kind of way. We have to support illegal immigration. Not only do we have to support them if they come here illegally, we have to pay for their health care. We have to pay for all the kids that they choose to have here. We have to be soft on crime when an American citizen gets hurt because of somebody that came illegally. We have to say that it's okay. We have to pretend that it's okay that men are women. There's a lot of things that is a problem. And she lost. God loves immigrants. Thank you for the super sticker, John. I do believe that God loves immigrants. And I'm not even going to get into the Bible thing, but I also think he likes law-abiding citizens because the Bible tells us to follow the land of the law. Therefore, I believe he loves legal immigrants. Now, he loves all people. So your statement is not false. But when it comes to the law, he definitely is a God of order, since you want to talk about that. But thank you for the super sticker. What is happening there? Like, I appreciate that. MAGA completely disregards the Constitution. Can you tell me how so? He won by a landslide. He won all swing states, President Trump. You guys think about his accomplishments. So when you guys are getting discouraged because of what the left is saying about our president, think about his accomplishments. The woman that won the Nobel Peace Prize wants to give it to Donald Trump because of the work that he's doing. And people can see it. People can see it. He made a very bold move when he went and got the Venezuelan president. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it so much.
Good morning. I'd like to start again this morning extending sympathies to Renee Good's wife and child, to the rest of the family. Deepest sympathies on an unimaginable tragedy and the horror of the last 24 hours. Also, a deep thank you to Minnesotans and those across the country. I understand a fund has been set up to support Renee's 6-year-old child and wife. Other things being done. I would encourage Minnesotans and folks across the country in this moment. You're seeing neighborliness and kindness rise to the occasion. Is go and find out what they're doing there and give some help if you can. I'd also say last night we saw Minnesotans
speaking of the devil, right?
Once again, thousands of Minnesotans demonstrated last night peacefully. They shared a message about the reckless ICE mobilization is not keeping us safe and led to the tragedy that the world witnessed once again. To Minnesota, I say thank you. There's strength in numbers. There's power in peace. And what we saw was a beautiful vigil to a life that we're starting to learn more about. And I will let those that want to push out false narratives, to slander or defame Renee Good, Minnesotans will tell her life story. Minnesotans will be there to defend her honor and see this as a human being, not a moment in time or the callous casualness that I've watched some people on TV gloss over what they saw. We've also spent a lot of time talking last 24 hours about accountability. That means no function of government operates with impunity. It means when someone's in a position of authority and they commit any act that impacts our people, there has to be another place to turn to get justice, checks and balances. Basic idea, the center of the formation of our country. It's the only measure that protects us from the abuse of government or federal overreach or tyrannical government. Yesterday, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the BCA, spent the day yesterday attempting to get that accountability. We have learned that the Trump administration has now denied the state that ability to participate in the investigation.
Hi, Eric.
And I just want to make this as clear as possible to everyone. Minnesota must be part of this investigation. These are nonpartisan career professionals that have spent years building the trust of the community. There's a BCA Force Investigations Unit that was created by the legislature, by the people of Minnesota, to provide an independent, consistent, and trusted mechanism for investigating the use of force incidents involving law enforcement officers. Minnesota has seen our share of these. And what you've seen is, and I have witnessed it during my time, that these professionals have risen to the moment. They are trusted by people. People who are not by inclination trusting of law enforcement or government have come to see the professionals at the BCA as true arbitrators that can get them justice. The unit is the result of years of scrutiny, public engagement, and bipartisan legislative action. Minnesotans have made it clear time and again they expect transparency through this process where a police officer uses deadly force. The BCA Commissioner, Superintendent Evans, have earned that trust by delivering on that expectation. I think it's clear to everyone as they saw this that it feels now that Minnesota has been taken out of the investigation. It feels very, very difficult that we will get a fair outcome.
Thank you, Amy. You're
and I say that
correct.
only because people in positions of power have already passed judgment, from the president to the vice president to Kristi Noem, have stood and told you things that are verifiably false, verifiably inaccurate. They have determined the character of a 37-year-old mom that they didn't even know, don't know. They've determined that the actions are done. I don't know. I've not used inflammatory terms of what happened. I've asked us to find the answers. The only way we find the answers is a thorough investigation by nonpartisan professionals. We've delivered that. We've been able to do it. We've earned the trust. And when I say that, the trust of BCA, and I tell Minnesotans the trust of law enforcement here. Everyone knows globally, certainly here, that George Floyd, who was murdered a few blocks from this site, tore at the soul of who we were. But we healed, we built back trust. Chief Brian O'Hara came in and took one of the most difficult jobs in America of building back trust in the police force in Minneapolis after Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd. And he's earned that. And he's level, and he's fair, and he's asking for that. And so Minnesotans, I will continue to press that we be part of the investigation, that we do the investigation, so that Minnesotans can trust what the outcome is. I don't have a predetermined notion. Yes, I saw the video. Yes, I saw that. But a thorough investigation will see what happened before that. It will take all factors in, and it will come up with a fair and just conclusion. And we will accept that. Very, very difficult for Minnesotans to think in any way this is going to be fair when Kristi Noem was judge, jury, and basically executioner yesterday. That's very, very difficult to think that they were going to be fair. With that being said, Minnesotans, we've risen to the occasion so far, but it's going to get challenging. It's going to be challenging because I feel your anger. The human desire to lash out in this moment is very real. I can tell you that that is the wish of many people, that they fulfill the wish they want to see us turn on one another, turn towards violence rather than peaceful reconciliation, rather than peaceful civil disobedience. And we have to do our best to not play into that. I say this too, when I saw yesterday some of the anger, whether it's Minneapolis Police, Minnesota State Patrol, Hennepin County Sheriff's Office,
The anger is
Minnesota National Guard, they are there to protect and serve, as it said. They are there to protect Minnesotans. Throwing your anger at them only inflames this situation.
Finally, he says
And I know
something.
some of you were up at the Whipple
Finally.
building this morning, and to the press who are here, I saw some of this myself. Thank you. Continue to have access to every single space. Continue to cover this story. Continue to show the world what's
Thank
out
you.
there. I will say it where our president won't. The press are the defenders of our democracy. You need to be there. But I also tell folks, protect our Minnesotans who are out there and don't turn the anger to them. This is a brazen use of force. They want us to bend the knee. They want us to capitulate. The way we give them what they want is allow them to use this as an excuse to put more troops on the ground. Use them as an excuse to show that these are violent protests. And I also witnessed what I think is going to be a pattern over the next few days in the coming hours, is I saw an individual show up there with the intent to antagonize folks who were peacefully protesting, with a bullhorn to scream at them. And again, the desire to move on that individual is exactly what they want, because our respect for the First Amendment means we will expect and respect all opinions.
Please double tap.
If this
Like
individual
video.
is there expressing support for ICE, that's their constitutional right to do so, and they need to be protected. Don't allow that to be a catalyst to create violence. We believe in states' rights. We believe the federal government needs to stay out of this. We believe that the situation has gotten worse and less safe
I
because
don't
of their
agree with
presence.
Chris, what are you talking about?
And I will just say there were two incidents yesterday I saw after this that just tore at my soul. I saw an individual at the scene identify themselves as medical personnel, a physician, and asked to provide aid. And an ICE agent said, "I do not care."
I don't
That
believe
lack
it.
of humanity was chilling to me.
I don't believe that.
And after this incident happened, and after the tensions rose, ICE agents entered a Minnesota school, causing disruptions at that school. I can't say this strongly enough as governor, as a parent, as a teacher,
I don't think you're our conservative thinking like
to
that.
our
It's
elected
not
representatives, Democrats and Republicans.
fair.
I beg you, I implore you to tell them to stay out of our schools. This tragedy will be magnified
Thank you so much.
100-fold
Thank you.
if this
Welcome.
fight moves into the hallways of our public schools amongst our youth. And they're watching us. They're watching us now, how we respond. So I've got a few simple asks. Let us, the professionals, handle this on Minnesota soil, this investigation. De-escalate this situation by removing yourselves from this situation with these 2,000 agents that were put here. And above all else, stay out of our schools. I'd like to ask you to care, but that might be a step too far for some people. But I know Minnesotans care. So we'll protest peacefully. We will win in courts. We will certainly win in the defense of our democracy because the American people see what's happening here. But the way that we don't win and the way that we lose, if this turns towards violence and allows them to escalate, it cannot happen. So I ask the grass top leaders out there, the faith leaders, the folks who are on the streets, and in many times the true leaders are not the elected officials. They're the folks on the ground. I beg you, implore you, follow those words of the leaders we've had. I had the privilege of serving with John Lewis. And John talked about good trouble. I'm not telling you not to find good trouble, but I asked John many times, I said, "John, I don't know if I'd have your self-restraint. Didn't you want to lash out?" He said, "Yes, daily." but he said, I wanted to win this. I wanted to do what right, and I wanted justice to prevail. And to do that, I knew the only way was to not lash out, to not give in to that. So to each and every one of you, we're not going to win this through violence. We're going to win it through justice. We're going to win it through compassion. We're going to win it through Minnesota Nice, and we're going to win it by holding every one of these people accountable as they should for what we've seen on the streets of Minneapolis. With that, I'm going to turn to Commissioner Jacobson to give you a situation update.
He should have spoken a long time ago. I am glad he said that, but it took him a while.
Thank you, Governor.
Because the mayor is not supporting.
Again, I'm Bob Jacobson, and it is my honor to serve as the Commissioner of Public Safety. First of all, again, I want to express my sincere condolences to the loved ones of Renee Nicole Good. Someone has lost their life, and that is not something that anyone takes lightly. Minnesotans came out yesterday to express their grief, their frustration, and their anger at this terrible tragedy. I expect that they will continue to come out today. And I want to thank everyone who demonstrated peacefully. This helped honor Renee's memory and gave her family space to mourn. Minnesota's residents and visitors have the right to demonstrate and to exercise their First Amendment rights. I want to remind everyone that there are safe ways to do so. Our goal is to reduce tensions, to avoid conflict, and to maintain a calm environment. And as I mentioned yesterday, we recommend the following safe and lawful ways to demonstrate. Please get together peacefully with others in public areas where pedestrians are allowed. March or walk together in pedestrian areas, please, not on the roadways. Make your voice heard through chants, speeches, and displaying signs. And there are a few things I just want to mention very quickly that are unsafe. Because as always, our top priority is public safety, and we cannot allow behaviors that create hazards, threaten public safety, or disrupt emergency services or endanger people nearby. That would include certainly demonstrating on the freeway, walking on highways, throwing objects, setting things on fire, property damage, graffiti, fireworks, illegal weapons, reckless and dangerous driving, or assaultive or aggressive behavior. I know that we all want more definitive answers about that fatal shooting that occurred yesterday. And as we are able to get those answers and dispel rumors and false information, then we can rightfully honor Renee's memory and help her family, loved ones, and our community heal. With that, I'll turn it back to Governor Walz and maybe a few questions.
Please. Right. Esme. I have not. As I said yesterday, I did speak to Secretary Noem and received a lot of talking points. I will note that I asked Secretary Noem how she would have felt if President Biden had sent 2,000 troops into Rapid City, South Dakota, and she said she would have welcomed them. I leave that for the folks of South Dakota to determine. I've not spoken to the president. I would ask him, first of all, the goal here is to make America safe, is what he said. There is no verifiable evidence that any of this is making America safer. I would ask him to de-escalate in the moment, to allow Minnesotans to back this investigation to be played out by the rule of law. I said it again, I have not passed any judgment on this. And to please, whatever it is, leave Minnesota alone.
No, refuse.
Earlier this week, I don't know if it was if something he wanted to have already made it clear. I'm exiting the stage here in a year, but I told him I have a year to continue to do what I love dearly and what I believe I've been good at, making Minnesota a better place to live. The number of calls we got today of parents asking if they should send their kids to school or not. Minneapolis had to make what I believe was the absolute correct decision to cancel school.
Cancel
students
school?
Out of learning today.
Are you kidding me?
I would just ask him. I'm not talking anything about border security. I'm not talking anything about what he needs to do on that. None of this is accomplishing either his mission or making us any safer. So just give us a pause. Let us breathe. Look, we're exhausted. We're exhausted as Minnesotans. We're exhausted as Americans.
School, you guys?
And this relentless assault on Minnesota for whatever reason is just cruel now. It has reached cruelness. So please just give us a break. And if it's me, you're already getting what you want. But leave my people alone. Leave our state alone, and look again and see what's happening. It's not me saying it. You're hearing it from many others. So that's what I would say.
I'm confused with the counseling school.
And local law enforcement from conducting an independent investigation into this, even if the federal government does not want to have you have a joint investigation.
So, great question. We have asked for cooperation from the federal government. We were invited in to do a joint investigation on this initially. We continue to work with the federal government all the time on joint investigations. This is not something new, whether it be with the FBI or other federal law enforcement agencies. So we are accustomed to doing joint investigations. As the governor has mentioned, our force investigative unit within the BCA has a stellar reputation for doing quality investigations, for finding the answers to the questions that people have. There are so many questions out there that I know the public has from watching what's been shown on social media and regular media. And the goal for me would be to provide an investigation, preferably in tandem with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, because we work with them all the time, and they are they do have all the evidence and the original investigative notes and reports. We have none of that. They have shared none of that with us. We would welcome the opportunity to jump back in, to do that investigation, use our high quality investigators from the BCA to be able to do that with them, to find the answers that the public deserves. Without any of that information, or without any of that assistance from the FBI or the federal government, we would be at a loss to be able to initiate and conduct a thorough investigation. For us to be able to do that, it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, without cooperation from the federal government.
How difficult would it be to file state charges without the cooperation of the FBI?
To be able to file state charges, we would need, again, a full investigation, which would include the opportunity to have been at the crime scene, to have had the opportunity to take a look at all the video and evidence that the FBI would have in their possession. I don't make any prejudgments about what happened yesterday. We can all see what we want to see on the videos and what we have seen in the media. That doesn't mean that none of us, I will not, as a public safety professional, jump to any conclusions as to who is at fault in this. What I will say, though, is that unless we do that thorough investigation, unless we have access to all of that evidence, unless we have access to the agents that were involved in that, to any witnesses, without any of that, we would not be able to put together a quality investigation for any prosecutor to be able to make a determination as to whether or not someone should be charged with a crime.
I'm going to note on this too that no one less than Tom Homan yesterday said it would be unprofessional to pass judgment ahead of time. Now, the disconnect between what Tom Homan said and Kristi Noem said needs to be rectified by the federal government. I will note too, this is a question I asked, not being an attorney of my team, and it will go to the family, that there will certainly be civil cases filed on this, and those will be filed in Minnesota court and be held in court. Corn?
What is the operating procedure when a federal agent of any kind in Minnesota shot and killed somebody, a civilian? Are you usually involved? Is there usually a joint investigation?
Generally, if there is any investigation involving use by a federal officer, generally the federal government, federal officials will lead that investigation. We have participated in numerous investigations in the past. It is very infrequent where there's a use of force by a law enforcement officer, federal law enforcement officer, but we have worked jointly and shared information in previous investigations.
I'd like to say, I'm gonna add on this. I'm gonna say, if you truly wanted to de-escalate this situation, the logical conclusion would be to follow that procedure and allow Minnesota to participate. And that's where we started yesterday. And it's one of the reasons I came out here, and I'm not going to criticize that because that was the proper process. And I'm going to have to talk to Minnesotans to try, and it's a very difficult task. I think we all know what can happen here, to calmly wait until all the facts come out. I think you in this room are seeing the gravity of this situation by not allowing Minnesota to participate, and the prejudgment that's already been made by leadership creates a very, very dangerous situation. And that's why, once again, I'm going to reiterate to our federal partners, simply let us be part of this. Use our professional folks. They will gain you the credibility and the trust of Minnesotans to believe the work that you're doing is honest, and it's not just a whitewash to backfill a predeceived notion. All right. So I got 10.
That the state can do to put in additional protection around schools, or to allow for additional e-learning days for these situations?
Yeah, it's interesting, Dana, that you would ask that. We were just, as we were coming in here discussing, someone asked about that, and they mentioned Ruby Bridges and the Little Rock folks about escorting people in. We have not determined that yet, but it is a situation that we're going to have to explore. As I said, again, the thing that cut me deeply was watching what happened in our schools and the chaos. And I was on with Commissioner Jett this morning as he's talking to folks from St. Cloud to Duluth about what they think about today. Should we be in classes today and tomorrow in those schools, or does it pose a potential risk? And so we're trying to figure that out. I think many of the things and the lessons we learned during COVID is local communities and local schools being able to make some of these decisions in the long run probably gets us better outcomes, but we are deeply concerned with that. I'm going to come back as soon as we get any more information from all of you. We'll be in front of you again. I will reiterate, and many of you know my wife, Gwen, the First Lady, is an English and literature teacher, and we were talking about some of this, and she got asked the question, and it was when will all of this end? And what Gwen said, it will end when enough people say it will end. And I think that is sage advice. And then I couldn't help but thinking, and it scares me a little bit. I heard those words. We remembered, many of us in here in sophomore, when we read it, that the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most important directive. It certainly feels like that in this moment. And so I want Minnesotans to not believe that I'm telling you not to be angry, not to be scared, not to be feeling a little bit hopeless in this moment. But I would also say this, and I saw it last night. I saw it during George Floyd. I've seen it throughout our history. When things looked really bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held that line for the nation. On that July 3rd, 1863. And I think now we may be in that moment that the nation's looking to us to hold the line on democracy, to hold the line on decency, to hold the line on accountability, and more than that, to rise up as neighbors and simply say, we can look out for one another. We can have differences, but we've proved to the world going on 250 years that our democracy could hold. It feels to me like we're at one of those inflection points, that simply asking our government to give us accountability, listen to local leaders, ratchet down the rhetoric, let people feel safe in their person, and let's let our kids go to school without fear. Let's let our kids go to school knowing that tomorrow could be a little better day. And so we're going to work on that. I'll leave you with this, and I'm not sure when we'll get in front of you next, but to Minnesotans, again, just one last time, don't give them what they want. Don't give them the unrest that they want. Don't give in to allowing them to bring more folks in here. Don't allow them to expand this somewhere else. Rise up, wrap your arms around your neighbors, peacefully express your First Amendment and your constitutional rights, and let's start healing, get some answers, and move Minnesota forward. Thank you.
I think it's too late for that. There's one more thing I want to show you guys. What beat is that person danced to? Man, I'm hoping I don't lose you guys with this next one. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Hopefully I can. Oh, wait. I don't think I can get to it like that. Let's see. I can't search. Okay. Let me stop my share for a second. I want to give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, let me see if I can show you what happens if you do this in another country. Let me see if I got it for you. Everything I show is for educational for each purposes. All right, guys. I forgot to. All right. Oh wait, where did I go?
Austin Westfall, let's talk about Iran. Protests sweeping across Iran are nearing the 2-week mark, but the country's government acknowledging the ongoing demonstrations despite an intensifying crackdown as the Islamic Republic remains cut off from the rest of the world.
Oh, shoot.
The Associated Press says with the internet down,
You guys see it? I don't know what my screen is doing.
Also cut off, gauging the demonstrations from abroad has grown more difficult, but they do know that the death toll in the protests has grown to at least 72 people and over 2,300 others detained. That's according to the U.S.-based human rights activists news agency. This was posted earlier today. President Trump saying Iran is looking at freedom, perhaps like never before. The USA stands ready to help. Hal Kempfer, still here with me. He's the host of the Strap podcast and a retired Marine intelligence officer.
You can see it? Okay.
Iranian state TV is reporting security force casualties, but they're also portraying control over the nation. How would you describe the scale of what you've been tracking in Tehran?
Well, awesome. From what I can tell, this is huge. It's in 100 cities all across the country. And if you don't think it's big, keep in mind they shut off not just the internet, but as you mentioned, they shut off the phone lines, which tells you that they are trying to squelch just how big this is. Experts who've been looking at this for some time, who've been looking, who have seen, a number of other protests. Remember the protests where it was against religious police because of the death of a young woman who didn't wear a hijab correctly, or they didn't feel wore a hijab correctly.
Thank you for the gift.
We're all kind of wondering, would this thing take off? Well, it was suppressed, and the people were repressed, but the anger from that never went away. This is different, though. This is all that anger plus an economy that is literally falling apart. There's tremendous problems. The central bank has stopped releasing or sometimes called cheap U.S. dollars. Remember, they are sanctioned and they're banned from doing certain things in the global economy. The central bank have been subsidizing these cheap dollars, which allows the store owners, the small businesses, the bazaars to keep operating. And when they cut that off because they couldn't support it any longer because there was just uncontrolled, rampant inflation throughout Iran, the bazaars literally shut down. They shut the stores. The store owners had to close, and the economy hasn't ground to a halt, but it has slowed down to the point that people are looking around saying, look, there's just no way they can do this. And this falls on the heels of seeing the regime was completely unable to deal with the Israelis in the 12-day war. That was embarrassing for the regime, because the Israelis basically were flying at will anywhere in the country and bombing whatever they want. Then the U.S. came in and bombed those nuclear sites. And so there's been a distinct lack of confidence in the Iranian regime. And of course, the Iranians have also watched Syria, the big other country that was a Shiite extremist partner, if you will, in the Middle East. And Assad is gone, and that country's completely changed over. And So this has a different feel to it, and it is big.
And we saw another operation in Syria today, by the way, striking ISIS targets. Going back to the president's post here, he says the USA stands ready to help. How could the USA help in this situation, Hal?
Well, that's a very good question. You know, it's one thing when you're doing a B-2 strike against specific targets like these nuclear weapons targets. That's a very clear, you know, cause and effect type of a strike mission. This one is very difficult. And according to multiple reports that when Prime Minister Netanyahu came over and he was talking to President Trump recently, part of that discussion was that the Israelis wanted to go after the missiles and some other targets in Iran. And that President Trump said, no, don't do that. And the reason that he told him not to do that was because he said, look, if you go after those targets, you're going to, you know, spur nationalism, Iranian nationalism, and you're going to actually entrench nationalism in support of the government. And I'm pretty sure that President Trump had intelligence at the time that confidence in the government was waning and dropping rapidly amongst the Iranian people. And so the Israelis could get, you know, in a short-term outcome would be they'd hit some targets. The long-term would be that it would probably forestall what we're seeing now. And I have a sense that we probably had an idea that this was coming. You know, we do a lot of economic analysis, we do a lot of financial analysis, so we're able to probably see something like this was on the horizon. And so it's good to say he supports the protesters. The threat certainly bolsters what the protesters are trying to do, but to actually do something kinetic, you know, strike missions per se, would be very difficult. What do you hit? And then, of course, you want to avoid any collateral damage where you're killing civilians. So it's good to say this. It's certainly the protesters, you know, take heart when they hear that the president of the United States is behind them 110%. They know that the president will order missions to Iran because they just saw it happen in June. But on the other hand, what you hit and how you hit it would be a very difficult one. I have no doubt that there are those in U.S. Central Command and elsewhere that are looking at this right now saying, what could we possibly do? And then, of course, what are the results? What is the outcome? Would we achieve the desired end state? Could it be something where we actually hit them and then set back the protest movement? So there's a lot of ifs and a lot of things they got to work through on that.
During the 12-day war, the U.S. struck that Fordo site with its B-2s. Does the reaction, let's rewind to this past summer for a moment here, because when people hear about Iran and the U.S., friction building between the two countries, it does spook people. And it does make people's mind wander to, well, what if things escalate between the two countries? Remind us, the last time the U.S. struck Iran this past summer, how did Tehran respond to that?
Well, what Tehran did was they launched all those missiles and drones towards Israel. And then, of course, they responded by hitting Qatar, hitting the airbase at Qatar, which, as you may recall, last June, I was in that part of the world. I actually went through the airport in Qatar en route to where I was going. And so that kind of struck close to home, so to speak. I wasn't there when the missiles actually struck, but they actually struck a U.S. base in there. And we have a number of bases over there. And those bases are, you know, they're vulnerable to strikes. So that is something that we have to take into consideration. And certainly the Iranians have shown a willingness to do that. Although all the information at the time, it almost sounded as if it had been kind of orchestrated that Iran would respond and they would strike these things so that they could say they responded and then it wouldn't escalate beyond that. And it was rather an interesting period where Iran responded to our strikes in such a way. But I don't know what would happen in this case. And, you know, frankly, one of the things that's really different about the protests, which kind of goes to the calculus, there are protesters that's been reported widely, you know, who are saying death to Khomeini, you know, death to the supreme leader of Iran. That's something we haven't really heard much in previous protests. I think that's what changes it. And, you know, President Trump has alluded to the fact, you know, during that 12-day war period, he said, you know, we could have struck Khomeini, but we decided not to. I think Khomeini certainly hears that, and there are reports that are out there, not from the most substantial, what I would consider, you know, the core news organizations, but there are reports that maybe Khomeini has been looking at possibly finding a way, you know, to depart Iran, to leave or to do something. And I don't rule that out. I haven't seen that get picked up by the mainstream media outlets I expect to carry a story like that. But sometimes you see those things out there, and then the next day, boom, they are in the mainstream. So we'll see what happens.
So that idea would be similar to what we saw with Assad.
Very similar. In fact, almost identical. In fact, Russia came up as a place he might go.
We have a short soundbite from the Supreme Leader. It's translated. Let's listen real quick.
People came and did damage to their own buildings, ruining their own streets in order to make the president of another country happy.
And that's really been one of his main points, is that this is, and some of what's been happening with these protesters is they're doing this in an effort to appease President Trump. Manny has framed protesters as, again, pleasing the White House. State media has used language like terrorists to describe some of these protesters. Is there any way, Hal, to know how much weight that type of rhetoric actually carries domestically within the Iranian public?
Well, I can say this. So with the protesters, I think that rhetoric carries zero weight. They're protesting for reasons that have nothing to do with President Trump. And I don't think any of the Iranian protesters are out there saying, hey, let's go out there and we're going to make President Trump happy if we're doing this. That is not their motivation. Their motivation is very fundamental. It's very domestic. It's very close to home. They don't like this, you know, this theocratic autocracy that has crushed their spirit so many times. They don't like this police state that this autocracy depends upon. But there's also the bigger issue, which is if you can't get the economy to function, if people can't make money so they can put food on the table at night, at that point, the government has completely failed. And then in the background, as you may recall, Tehran, that big capital city, is literally running out of water. Their water management has been so bad over the many, many years, over the decades, along with drought and some climate change issues, that they're literally looking at having to move the capital of Iran to another city because Tehran can't support the water needs of the capital of Iran. All of these things are crushing blows to the current regime. That's what's got the protesters out there. That's what they're angry about. And of course, Khomeini is desperate to try and divert attention. And frankly, to say that they're out there to try and appease President Trump, if you're familiar with the culture and everything else, it's almost laughable. But he's really trying to do that to come up with some sort of explanation as to why does my entire population, you know, why are they all out there on the streets? And of course, he's probably a little bit miffed that many of them are calling for his death. So that's what he's trying to do to try to divert. But we shouldn't pay too much attention to that.
We've been talking about the internet connectivity thing. You know, Iran cut off internet, according to reports. They also cut off international calls. There are reports that the outage was attributed to the government interfering with these mediums. Hal, is there a reliable way to determine casualties and arrests? Is there a reliable way to track any of this stuff when the state is imposing communication blackouts?
You know, what's interesting is, and of course, this is one of the things that the Iranian regime is very upset about, is Israeli intelligence has completely permeated their society. They've got quite an intelligence network in place, and we saw that in June, what they were able to pull off. And therefore, the intelligence, you know, if you will, ground truth of what's going on, it will get back. That does not rely on the internet or regular telephone service or anything like that. That information will get back. Now, how that gets disseminated out into the open source world, okay, if it comes through intelligence sources, that happens all the time. Various countries gather information and they put stuff, there's relationships with journalists and things where they will let them know things. And certainly Israel has a reason to get the information out there about how badly the regime is doing. So I think we will find out. I've heard at least 65, maybe more people have been killed. Hundreds, and it could be thousands, have been arrested, put in jail, prison. And it sounds like there's going to be a lot more going on and a lot more people hurt than killed. So these protests are huge, and everything is indicating that the government's only responses are going to crack down brutally as they have in the past. And I'm expecting to see that. And unfortunately, I'm also expecting to see the casualties increase as well.
Whew, you guys. So, wait, where are you? Yeah. There you are. We still good? Turn off the CIA. So my point was, you guys, so you can't do these protests. For those of you that asked me, I did play the protest in Minnesota, and it's not just in Minnesota, it's in other parts of the world where they're protesting against ICE. You have a lot that's going on in Minnesota. I find it funny that Tim Walz is now saying something, but I also feel that he's double talking. Why is Tim Walz canceling the schools? If you're an American citizen, you can go to school. It still sounds as if he's demonizing the Trump administration for doing their job. Now he's saying to back off and all of these other things, but he's also in the same breath saying, oh, well, the Republicans are evil and they're this and that, and it's all this fear mongering. So I feel that the only reason he's telling the Minnesota people to stand down is just for face value. There's really no substance behind it. There's no debt, because if he really wanted them to stand down, he would have police officers out there and he would have protection for the ICE agents to keep the people from getting into these ICE agents' face that's only trying to do their job, clean up what's happening there, and take care of the immigration problem that was allowed by the Biden-Harris administration. That's what needs to happen. I find it funny that with everything that Walz has going on, that he will not just step down and shut up. But who am I to say? He's still allowed to speak until his term ends. I think that he has a lot of problems with the scandal going on in Minnesota, and that's where his focus should be. Why are you canceling schools when American students need to be in school? I'm not sure about that, but hey, I guess we'll find out. We'll watch and we'll see what's happening. As far as the lady that lost her life, I've watched that video several times. I'm not sure how anybody thought that parking your car in the middle of an ongoing investigation, what they're trying to do, I don't know how that was a good idea. There's a lot of paid protesters out there, and there's a lot of criticism for the ICE agents, but these protesters are bold. They're not just peacefully protesting. They're not walking down the street. You can say your chants, you can say your songs, but you don't have to get into these ICE agents' face. You don't have to come up to them aggressively. ICE agents have been hit by cars. They have been assaulted, had hands put on them. So you can't do all of that and expect these ICE agents to just sit there peacefully. Before I go, I want to show you guys what I'm talking about a little. And this is coming from, hold on. It's just something someone sent me. Like, oh, wait a minute. How am I going to show this without... Make yourself bigger for a second. Are we still friends? I gotta cover up the name so I'm not doxing anyone. All right. Oh, that's loud. This is an officer.
Do it in the daylight. You can play those games in other states, but not in New York. Think nobody sees you hiding behind a mask? Step back, officer. Nah, not today. Stop hiding behind masks. You want to snatch people up? Do it in the daylight. You can play those games in other states, but not in New York. Think nobody sees you hiding behind a mask? Nah, not today. Stop hiding behind masks. You want to snatch people up? Do it in the daylight. You can play those games in other states, but not in New York. Think nobody.
So that is what we're looking at, and it's absolutely disgusting. Shut up. No, it's not, Ian. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm praying for our country, and I am praying for a peaceful protest. If they're going to protest, if they must, then do it peacefully and stay out of the ICE agents' way. So that way, we can all be safe. Was that NYPD, Claude? That's the aggression. So not only are the ICE agents, now I'm sorry if this next statement is going to hurt some of y'all feelings, not only are the ICE agents doing a job that a lot of people are fighting them against, you got the police that's in their face. So can you wonder why this ICE agent unalived that lady? I'm not saying I agree with it, but imagine what they're going through with police officers in the face. So American citizens that's watching police officers attack these ICE agents are feeling more bold, are feeling like they have the right to do it too. And I can just imagine you're out there, you're sent there doing your job, and you have all of this aggression towards you. So if I saw a moving vehicle coming towards me, I'm going to assume the worst. I'm not going to take my life for granted. So attention like that, and with aggression like that, she may not be the only one that loses her life. So I say, you know, protect yourself, be smart, and start looking at this. Why am I fighting for illegal immigration, which only hurts the American economy, American safety? It's time to just make this country strong and great and be the nation that we're called to be. And with illegal immigration, there is no way that you guys can Donald Trump, put it like this, Donald Trump won the election because he promised that he would work hard on protecting the borders. Tom Homan is doing an amazing job. ICE agents are doing an amazing job. And there happened to be a casualty that was, you know, not too long ago. May she rest in peace. But you guys, stay out of the way. All right, I love you guys. And we'll talk to you guys. Can you bring the original video? I only played a short clip. That's what was sent to me. And I could do the original video or other videos. There's a lot like those videos. I could do it later. But I've been live for over an hour. I just wanted to tell you guys, you know what? I don't think what's happening right now with these protests, that is very un-American. It's anti-American. It's not the American way. And it's becoming the norm. And you got a lot of people that's just erratic out there, creating chaos, paid protesters to make the Republican Party look bad right before not right before, but you have midterm elections coming up later. And it's just to try to make it seem as if the Republican Party is the cause of this. You don't have Republicans out there protesting against ICE, fighting back as if we're some lunatics. You don't have Republicans doing that. So you can't blame this on the political right. This is the left. This is the left trying to cause a civil war and try to make it seem as if this is MAGA. MAGA doesn't do stuff like that, okay? I'm not MAGA, but I am Republican, but it doesn't matter what I am, okay? You do not see us out there interfering with ICE. Donald Trump won every swing state for a reason. And what you're seeing right now, this propaganda, this Donald Trump is evil and he's causing people to fight against ICE. No, Donald Trump isn't evil. The people out there that are fighting and getting these ICE agents to put their hands on them so they can play victim and say, oh, I got hurt by ICE. They're the ones that's the problem. And they alone are responsible for what happens to them and what happens to their life. Bye, you guys.